They made us laugh until we couldn't breathe. They made us sing like no one was listening, and then they were gone. Before streaming, before likes and followers, they gave us something real: joy, rebellion, escape. This is for every man who ever pressed record on a cassette deck and dreamed of being one of them. Davy Jones. You were 12, the summer was long, and the song on the radio, it made your chest flutter. There he was, shaggy-haired, bright-eyed, the boy every girl wanted and every guy couldn't stop watching. He danced like no one told him the rules. He smiled like he had never seen pain, but he had. By 24, he'd been on every magazine cover. He'd fallen in and out of love 3 times. He held his daughter for the first time with hands that still trembled from rehearsals. The world said he had it all. But dopamine fades, spotlight heat turns cold. And silence? Silence gets loud. He tried. He really did. He found peace in horses, in the quiet of Pennsylvania's back roads, in restoring old places others had forgotten. Maybe he saw himself in them. Then, on a morning that should have been ordinary, his heart said no more. At 66, he left us without fanfare, without farewell. You don't forget the first person who made you feel something, not really. Not the one who made you dream with a song. So when that old tune plays again, daydream believer, don't just hum along. Remember him, and maybe remember yourself too. If this brought back a memory, hit that like button. Not for the algorithm, for the kid you used to be. Michael Nesmith. They told him to play along. Smile for the camera, lip sync like the rest, but he wasn't built for pretending. So he pushed back, first quietly, then louder, until he shattered the illusion of a fake band and made it real. While others chased fame, he chased control, creative control, ownership, integrity, testosterone in its purest form, not aggression, but direction. He wore a wool hat, but thought like an architect. He fought for songwriting rights, built the foundation of what music television would one day become. But every stand comes with a cost. Relationships strained, isolation deepened. The price of clarity is often loneliness. Years passed, the world moved on, but he never stopped dreaming in four time. In 2021, after one last tour, one last burst of stage lights, his heart gave out. You may not remember every song he wrote, but you felt his fingerprints in every artist who ever demanded to be more than a puppet. He didn't just wear the hat, he rewrote the rules. Peter Tork. He didn't shout the loudest, he didn't demand the spotlight, but when he played the first few notes on his keyboard, you listened. There was something in his eyes, a softness, a knowing, like he'd seen beauty and pain side by side, and still chose joy. Fame came fast, then faster, and somewhere between the screaming crowds and scripted lines, he lost the thread. The bottle didn't ask questions. The pills didn't expect him to smile. He stumbled, fell, got arrested, and then, slowly, he started over, with smaller shows, real music, people who didn't need the TV version of him. And when cancer knocked, he didn't run. He kept playing, weaving melody into pain, letting the stage be his therapy. His daughter called him her anchor. Fans called him their quiet rebel. He died on a quiet February day, far from the screaming. No lights, no makeup, just family, just peace. Some stars explode, others fade, but a few they hum, gentle, persistent, like the final chord of a song you don't want to end. Who was your Peter? The quiet one, the kind one. Drop his name in the comments. Let's remember the ones who kept us steady. Rip Taylor. He was confetti and chaos, a walking punchline, a wig-wearing whirlwind that didn't just enter the room, he exploded into it. People laughed. He made sure they did. Because if they laughed, they wouldn't ask questions. No one saw the boy behind the bang, the one who lost his father too soon, who grew up with silence, not applause, who learned early that if you keep them laughing, they never notice you're hurting. He wasn't addicted to drugs or alcohol. He was addicted to performance, to applause, to avoid the stillness where the sadness lived. In private, he was gentle, loyal, lonely. He loved, quietly, and lost, just as quietly. A brief marriage, a long relationship the world didn't always accept. He died at 88, heart failure, they said. But those close to him knew the real wear and tear came from decades of being everyone's escape, but never his own. His ashes were scattered in Hawaii, the laughter faded, the confetti settled, and the boy behind the bang, finally, at rest. Vic Tayback, the tough guy on. Screen, the sensitive soul off. Screen. He looked like the kind of guy you didn't argue with. Square jaw, gravel voice. Always the boss, the brute, the bark behind the counter. But acting is funny. You play tough long enough, people forget to ask if you're tired. Off screen, he was quieter, softer. He hated being typecast, but he took the roles. Bills don't care about dignity. He smoked too much, worked too hard, laughed loud but coughed louder. In 1983, they opened his chest to fix his heart. He kept going, because what else do you do? By 1990, he was planning a comeback. New scripts, new energy, but the damage was done. A heart attack took him at 60. No slow fade, no final tour. Just a man who gave everything until his body gave up. You don't need to cry for him. He wouldn't have wanted that. But maybe pause for a beat. Check your own pulse, because even the strongest men burn out when no one sees they're burning. Len Lesser, the pain of loss and a spirit of dedication in later life. He was never the lead, never the headline, but when he showed up, you knew it. A raised eyebrow, a perfectly mistimed entrance, a line that made you snort laugh through your nose. You saw him as Uncle Leo, maybe once on the Monkees, maybe in half a dozen things you couldn't name, but remembered anyway. That was his magic. He didn't demand attention. He earned familiarity. He served in World War II before he ever stepped on a stage. He married once, loved deeply, lived simply, worked constantly. And when his wife died just weeks before he did, something inside him cracked. He didn't say it out loud, but those who knew him saw it. The joy dulled, the punchlines landed softer. He passed away at 88, quietly. No scandals, no spotlight, just a man who spent a lifetime being the guy we all loved, and maybe never truly saw. You've met people like him. Maybe you are one, the one who shows up, holds the joke, carries the room, until one day you're not there, and the room feels wrong. He wasn't a star. He was the glue. Henry Corden, the legendary voice and enduring resilience. Yabba dabba doo. You smiled just reading it. That voice, that gravelly burst of joy, it wasn't a cartoon, it was a generation, and behind that voice was a man almost no one recognized. He stepped in when Fred Flintstone's original voice went silent, and from that moment, he carried the weight of a legacy. For nearly 30 years, he gave laughter to living rooms without ever asking for the spotlight. He was in the Monkees too briefly, grumpy landlord, classic timing. But it wasn't about screen time, it was about presence. His life wasn't easy. 4 marriages, plenty of heartache, a career that spanned decades but rarely headlines. But he stayed, showed up, kept going. The years and the smoke caught up with him. Emphysema took his voice, then his breath, then him. He died at 85. No farewell tour, no documentary. But if you ever laughed with Fred or grinned at an old rerun, you heard him. Some men lead armies, some lead stories. He led with a laugh, and that sometimes lasts the longest. Take a deep breath. One of these stories, it reminded you of someone. Send this to him, or her, or your younger self. 8. Burt Mustin, late, found joy and everlasting love. He didn't show up until the credits were halfway written. No child stardom, no rush of fame. He was a salesman, a choir member, a bus driver, a husband. Then, at 67, someone put a camera in front of him, and it just made sense. He played grandpas, neighbors, shopkeepers, the kind of people you might not notice, but always felt real. The kind who reminded you of someone you loved, or someone you lost. He was in over 150 shows and movies, including the Monkees. Never flashy, just steady, present. His wife passed in 1969. He followed 8 years later. No headlines, no scandal, just a soft goodbye. he was 92. Some men race to be remembered. He simply stayed long enough to never be forgotten. The screen fades, the light dims, but the warmth, that lingers. As you sip your coffee, staring at a shelf of dusty vinyl, know this: the men who once made you laugh now rest, but their echo plays on in every note, every rerun, every smile you share with your son. So dust off an old record, play it loud, let the memories run wild, like they once did on a Saturday afternoon. They lived, and so did we.